Hey everyone, I wanted to give a update on the state of the channel, just a couple, well, basically just some general updates for the collection as it stands. This is probably going to be the last video I make for a while, because I'm focusing on finals right now for college. Most people are graduating soon, and here I am still running into May with my college classes, and yeah, it's fun. Getting really worn out. Fortunately, I still have had some time to work on the trains, but not a whole lot of time for filming. Obviously, the scale trains auxiliary water cart video was one of the most recent ones that I did. These things are fantastic, by the way. Absolutely love them. But you might be wondering why I have these locomotives out on the table. Well, first is to just show some general updates on some of them. First off, we'll start with the big boy. This is actually a more recent one. I have modified the existing drawbar. The lighting is terrible, but it now has a 3D printed drawbar that I made myself that allows the locomotive and tender to sit much closer together than what they previously did. I used to be able to stick my thumb in between the engine and tender with clearance. Now I can barely stick my pinky in there. It looks a heck of a lot better. Doesn't impede operation at all. Finally perfected the coupler height on this thing as well. I got some washers under the mounting brackets. I had to swap the standard scale head coupler for an overshank coupler, so that will actually sit at the correct height. I did coupler height check these. These are a tiny bit low, but not bad, so I'm not too worried. I also finally got them programmed. The lights do work. They do not work in consisting with this engine though, so it's kind of pointless, but they still look good behind them. So, or behind the big boy. Yeah, this is my new favorite consist. I absolutely love this. And I have plans to get more of the excursion cars as I go along, and maybe the SD70 that was behind the big boy last year, the 4015 with the silver trucks. Athearn is making it, so yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna be used consistently with the big boy from now on. Actually, speaking of UP Steam, I know a lot of you probably saw that Union Pacific is donating Challenger 3985 and a bunch of the other equipment, the Centennial that they had, the TTT class Santa Fe locomotive, a bunch of other passenger cars and stuff to a group in Silvis, Illinois, the Railroading Heritage Museum or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they're called. But yeah, big stuff happening for UP. Questionable stuff too, but I'm not going to get involved in the drama. Other updates. I might have talked about this already. This one, my nickel plate SD9 now has DCC. I'm just using a standard Bachmann 4 function in there. Runs okay, definitely is going to get a new one. Since we're over here, here's a more recent acquisition to the collection. I'll move it out on its own because of how tiny it is. This is now my smallest locomotive. This is an Atlas Alco S2 diesel switcher, and it is actually probably one of the nicest engines I own. The entire chassis block here is die cast. This engine weighs in at 14 ounces on its own. It is a tank. I cannot wait to put DCC in this thing. This is probably going to get a sound package, LEDs, obviously. It's going to get the works. It doesn't have a cab interior, so I'll have to put everything in the cab, which is fine. There's really not a whole lot of space, especially if I want to keep the stock weight. It's in here. Again, I apologize for the poor lighting conditions. I need to get a track light above my head, and I've got space to do it. And then, of course, you got my other two steam locomotives, the Lionel American Freedom GS4. This was going to my friend Mark, but I don't think he wants it anymore, so I'm hanging on to it. Of course, he might say something on here about still wanting it. And then you got my J class, which was previously the 610, but is now on its way to becoming 611. I went ahead and bought a Tichy Train Group NW Steam Locomotive decal sheet. It's got everything for 611 basically. I did notice that the gold on here is a slightly darker color. It could just be because it's against the blue, but I got to get some microset and microsol to be able to put those on there. As you can see, I did manage to get the original numbers off, but I did butcher the paint a little bit, so I am going to also have to paint match that. But I can still put the decals on because they'll be far enough over that using paint on this isn't going to interfere with it. So yeah, but I also have to get decals for the nose because I scratched off the numbers on the nose as well. And for the rear of the tender, under the backup light, there should be something just below that and just above the first grab iron under the headlight. I scratched that off too, or rubbed that off. So I got to get something to replace that because this only comes with the side numbers for the 611. So now you'll probably be wondering when I said that my other two engines you'll probably remember well. I have a BLI Hudson and K4 and a couple F7s. Well, I kind of realized that I was collecting too much random stuff in my mind. I wanted to be consistent in modeling a specific road. I went from 12 roads. I had engines from predominantly UP, Norfolk and Western, Santa Fe, Pennsy, New York Central. It was just this long, unnecessary list of engines that I really wanted. So I started to kind of condense it all down into stuff that I knew that I would enjoy more. So I finally got it down to UP, Norfolk and Western, and New York Central for various reasons. UP being my favorite, N&W for having some of the most advanced steam, and New York Central just because barely anybody models it, and they also have some cool engines. But then I kind of realized that even that was just going to be too much. I got tired of scouring eBay for all three of those roads, so I finally just bit the bullet and decided that I'm going to go exclusively Union Pacific from here on out. Not exclusively, I should say, predominantly Union Pacific. I am going to have some others like these guys. I'm definitely keeping this, well, now it's the 611, I guess. Definitely keeping that because that's an engine I've seen in person. So the rule of thumb is going to be Union Pacific, engines I've seen in person, engines that just have cool paint schemes like the nickel plate, SD9, stuff like that, good deals. That plus, I mean, it's a free engine, so I didn't really, it's really nice. It's the only Pro 2000 diesel I have. And then bicentennial equipment. I also really love bicentennial stuff, so like the Freedom Train. Definitely going to be, I will probably end up getting a different Freedom Train at some point. I really, really want the MTH GS4 Freedom Train, but the only ones I can find are on eBay, and they're upwards of $700. I'm not paying more than what I paid for the big boy. I paid $560 for the big boy. Don't really want to pay more than the big boy for a model train unless I absolutely have to, unless I'm retired. It won't be until I'm retired. So yeah, Union Pacific is now the primary focus of my collection. On that note, as you'll notice, I've also condensed it down to all UP caboose. Sorry, my shadows are getting in the way here. I've also narrowed down the rolling stock a little bit. I'm down to like 60 some cars now, I think, give or take. So what exactly happened to the rest of the stuff, you might be asking, and that is I am selling it. Decided to, some of it's already up there on the shelf. That's some of it. There's one of the items. I think there's another one around here somewhere. I don't know. There it is, one of the project engines that I bought. And then here's everything else, the Hudson. The K4 is in the big box up at the top of the shelf there. And then my Empire State Express and my Athearn F7s stacked on top of each other. Those actually just sold, so those are getting shipped out, but the K4 just got put up on eBay. These are all things that have yet to go up on eBay. And so it currently consists of the Hudson, a bunch of Pennsy and New York Central passenger cars, New York Central Athearn caboose, and then a couple miscellaneous freight cars here, and a Rivarossi Santa Fe heavyweight. So these are all things that I'll be selling off because I just have deemed them surplus to the collection and don't really need them, considering that I'm going to switch over to Union Pacific stuff. Now, and when I say UP, it's going to be kind of a mixed bag because obviously the big boy 4014, I have the oil-fired version. So this is going to be the 2019 to present version with 2006 to present auxiliary water cars running in what I'm going to be collecting predominantly 1950s stuff, like the S2 over there. That's like the 1959 paint scheme, the dependable transportation scheme. From what I've researched, I think, I don't know for sure. But I have plans to start building up a fleet of Union Pacific steam and diesel locomotives. So like steam would be the big boy, obviously. I don't think I'll be getting another big boy anytime soon, but like the Challenger, FEF series locomotives, the TTTs if I can get my hands on one, MT-73 Mountains, MK class Mikados, anything that I can find. Diesels is definitely going to be easier. There's been some really cheap UP diesels that are going up for sale on eBay recently that I should be able to get my hands on. But even then, I'm actually not going to be buying too much in terms of motive power for a while because I need to start focusing on building the layout. And I have quite the space to do it with. Basically, from this post over to the wall where my desk is, and then back over to that wall with where the refrigerator is and the sump pump behind it. This is all going to be occupied by a layout. It's only going to come out at maximum about 2 feet from the wall, so not much more than the desk, maybe a little less. And it's going to have a couple various industries, hopefully a small yard somewhere in there so we can do some shunting, switching operations. I might even just put a small staging yard down the back here. I might even potentially go as far as to shorten the layout and squish it up against this wall here so that it doesn't come out past this. And that's probably mostly all I need. I don't know if I want to go overboard. It'd probably be easier just to slap some industries in there too, instead of having a walk-in layout, something you have to duck under. Excuse me. Still need to hang my display case too. But yeah, so I'll have to work out some plan. I had a plan on any rail that was going to utilize almost the entire space that I'm sitting in right now. Everything where these boxes are, we did just move into the house, so we're still trying to unpack a bunch of stuff. That's all books, by the way. I do have some track that I've purchased for the layout here and here. The Kato track, I was going to buy exclusively Kato track for the layout, but I kind of realized that was going to get really expensive really fast, so I decided against it. I could have just kept on my easy track. I do kind of regret getting rid of that, sort of, but I'm not too bummed by it. It's all right. Yeah, so that is pretty much where everything stands right now. Like I said, I'm not going to be producing too much content for at least the next month or so. I hope to have some more stuff coming down the pipeline. I need to do a review of the big boy or the J or one of the diesels next. I kind of want to I probably need to focus on the big boy. Again, it's kind of hard getting rid of something that I've had for so long and it runs great, like the Hudson or the K, but considering that they're just not something that I really need, even though they were great prices, I figured that it's probably better if I just go ahead and sell them off and buy things that I know I'm actually going to run more frequently, like Union Pacific related or bicentennial stuff. In any case, that's probably gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon.